our good friends at Cosmic Book News. Yes, our good friends. Matt McGloin. It's funny because he acts like he has like this big staff over at Cosmic Book News, but we know it's just him. We know it's just him paying the $1,000 a month or whatever it is to get this little gold check mark by his name. And just him sitting in his mom's basement, probably typing away with ChatGPT, creating every single article and tweet that he can make for Cosmic Book News. We know that's what he's doing. I would not be surprised if he had like this crazy setup and on one screen he had a whole bunch of like scoopers, and that's all he's watching is scoopers over here. And when something pops up, he's like, ooh, that's interesting. And then throws it in ChatGPT. Make this sound like it came from me with this. And ChatGPT puts up a tweet and he just pops it up and makes a quick article and pops it up. Anyways, but regardless, let's move on to this story. He goes, boom! A new rumor claims James Gunn is out at DC, even with Netflix. Oh boy. He says the reason? Gunn's DCU is too goofy. And there are major concerns about what Gunn will do with Batman. All right. So he says, similar to what we have been told, it's again said that James Gunn will be out as head of DC Studios once Warner Brothers Discovery is sold. Recall when I first reported the news that James Gunn went on that YouTube tour and questioned his future at DC. They're going to use that little quote that he said on Boba Talks like crazy. He says, both Deadline and Puck News backed up what I said. Following Netflix winning the bid to buy WBD, Gunn and Safran ran to Bloomberg in a desperate attempt to save their jobs. No, they didn't, but okay. Now YouTube, Tachyon Pulse, who apparently has industry connections, says, new industry chatter backs up what we've been hearing. James Gunn may not be part of DC's future once Warner Brothers Discovery completes a potential sale. While we have been told Gunn is out, particularly with the Paramount's purchase of Warner Brothers, the YouTuber even says even with Netflix, it looks like Gunn will be out. The reason, according to the YouTuber, Gunn's DCU is too goofy. Superman criticizes cartoonish and fake, and a new video titled Revealing Netflix Big DC Plan Exclusive. Tachyon Pulse relayed comments he says came from an industry analyst raising doubts. He repeats the same thing over and over and over again in his articles. It's so freaking annoying. He says, describe James Gunn's Superman as leaning too far into silliness, echoing concerns allegedly shared by an analyst who is said to have business involved in the industry. James Gunn has took to it and become almost like a cartoon that is actually the word that he used to describe it. While praising parts of the film, he pointed to moments that didn't land. There's 3 or 4 moments in it that didn't make you go, oh, for God's sake, saving the squirrel where Superman saved a squirrel, bit silly. He also highlighted a specific sequence that analysts reportedly flagged as weak. A lot of analysts and a lot of people in the industry looked at that and said that scene was not good. It didn't feel like a war zone. It felt like a cartoon. It felt not real. It felt plastic. It felt fake. DC won't reset again, but Gunn may not stay. Let's see. They say they will not scrap this universe and start again. They just won't. Even though they won't do a full reset, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll stick with Gunn. What I'm being told is that the word within the industry is that Safran Safran is well respected, and they really want him to move forward. But creatively, they feel that James Gunn is maybe not the person to take it forward. Batman is the biggest issue. One of the biggest red flags raised by the analyst was how Batman fits into the DCU tone. How do you bring Batman, the biggest character in DCU and the DC arguably, into this project when it is done like a kid's cartoon? I'm actively being told that's very unlikely to continue either. They are going to want to bring Batman into this new universe, and that won't work with Robert Pattinson. Yes, it will. I actually think there was way too much going on in this film anyway with all the different characters they brought into it. Too many characters in Superman, they're saying. Okay, so it's all bullshit is what it is. Like, I mean, you can just basically see everything here. Now, here's the thing. This isn't words of Matt McGloin. He's taking this from another bullshit artist who's trying to get in on the con of the century, essentially. The con of the decade, I'll say. And trying to say, Gunn is out, Gun's going to be fired, Gunn will be gone. Again, I'm going to say it plainly, as plain as day here. There is no executive right now at Netflix, at Paramount, or anywhere that is concerned about James Gunn or Peter Safran in their jobs. All they are worried about right now is getting the deal completed. Plain and simple. That's all they're worried about. They're not worried about what James Gunn is doing. They're not worried about where the DCU is and where it's going to be going. All they're worried about is, when it comes to David Ellison and Paramount, all they're worried about is trying to win and get Warner Brothers. Right now, all Netflix is worried about is making sure Paramount doesn't get Warner Brothers and that they get Warner Brothers and they win and they get it through all the regulators and the FCC. That's all they're worried about. That's all they care about. None of them are sitting there saying, what are we going to do with James Gunn? No. The only people doing that are these con men. They're the only people doing that, making up stories. And it's pathetic because Superman is too goofy. Let's step back for a minute. Let's say that's true. Let's just say that Superman was too goofy. So what ends up happening is the head of the studio, the overall studio, comes out and says, look, Superman did well, but we think it was a little too goofy. So for the follow-up, make it less goofy. Okay, so the next one is less goofy. It's more sincere, more serious. Let's say it makes more money. Okay, it made more money. They were right. The first one was too goofy. We have to lean into the more serious tone, but still have a little bit of the goofiness, have a little more fun with it, but it's not as goofy. There you go. You take the notes from your studio heads and you move forward. That is how the industry works. That is how it works. You don't just fire somebody. You don't just let go of your studio head after one thing that you don't like. Now, if it was a financial failure, a financial bomb, yes, that's when you take a look and you say, okay, maybe we should step back and not utilize this guy. But Superman was not a financial bomb. Peacemaker did not financially bomb. Not at all. We still need to see Supergirl, Clayface, Lanterns, all that stuff. So to sit there and act like, oh, he's gone. That's not how it works, people. These people, these con men, have no idea how the industry works. This Matt McGloin, specifically from Cosmic Book News, has no idea. I see him pop up on my TikTok every once in a while, and he's like, hey, James Gunn is gone. He's not going to be here anymore. He's gone because they don't want him. It's like, who doesn't want him? Netflix? They can't say that. They don't own it. Paramount? They don't own it either. They don't have a say. Like, the fact that these comment want to sit there and try and convince people of these things is just baffling. It's absolutely baffling. The amount of lies and misinformation and the misguiding that they take everybody on is absurd. And the people that eat it up, I feel bad for them in some way, but there's a part of me that's just like, I think some of you deserve it. You get what you ask for. Like, let's not forget that it was just a few weeks ago that this guy specifically, Matt McGloin, was promising that the Snyderverse was restored already. Don't forget that Christopher Nolan was meeting with Universal in Saudi Arabia because Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder were going to team up and take over DC Studios when Universal bought Warner Brothers. That's what he was talking about just a few weeks ago. But he never misses, he says. But these are the kind of people that sit here and say, James Gunn is gone. He's gone. Look, my stance is this. If a company comes in and they want to get rid of James Gunn, so be it. But put somebody in charge that's going to make a fun and good, exciting DC universe. Okay? Don't go back to the old. I don't think bringing in Zack Snyder is a good idea. Look, I want to see his story finished, but he doesn't have an infinite story. He has 2 movies, so don't do that. The reason why James Gunn has been so exciting is because he has a future. He has an idea for ongoing stories. That's what I want to see. That's why I've always been so excited about James Gunn. So if anybody was to come in and say, you know what, James, sorry, but no thanks, and they come in and they get somebody else, just make sure they have a plan that's like that. And don't just jip out on them after 2 or 3 projects. Give them a chance. But it's not going to, I don't see that happening. I see them sticking with James Gunn for a while. I do. That's what I see because let's be honest. They're not going to get rid of somebody that fat. Like it's ridiculous. It's idiotic. It's idiotic. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. People are just absurd, ridiculous, and yeah. Those people, you know who you people are, those cosmic book people and of the same ilk. And here's the thing, like, I want to point something out. You have scoopers like Daniel Richmond, Daniel RPK. You have your Grace Randolphs. You have your people of that nature, you know, those kind of scoopers, okay? Do I sit there and agree with everything they do? No. Do they make mistakes more often than not? Yes. Are they the type of people you should trust and rely on? No. But there's a reason why they don't say crap like this. You know why? Because it is undeniably untrue. It is undeniably ridiculous. It is undeniably clickbait. It is undeniably stupid. That's why people like Grace Randolph and Daniel RPK, they don't buy into this kind of stuff. Those type of scoopers, and I know there's other ones like it. They don't bite into this stuff. But those Jeff Snyder's, the Cosmic Book News, what is this other place called that we just saw? I don't know. Whatever it is, Tachyon Pulse. They're jumping into it because it gets them views, it gets them clicks, even though there's no substance there, because they don't have real information. They don't have real insider information. I know that Grace Randolph does. I know that Daniel RPK does, because they do get things right from time to time. They do actually have information that is accurate from time to time. These fools, though, not even close. Not even close. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below.